All right, we'll give it just a second for some people to sign on here. And we'll go ahead and get started. All right, well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us on this very wintry, snowy, cold day. I am very excited because tonight we have Joannée DeBruhl with us, and she is going to teach us how to start our own very small windowsill garden. She's been doing this for a long time, and she's very passionate about it. So I am going to go right ahead and turn it over to you so we can get started.
Outstanding. Thank you very much, Chelsea.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So my name is Joannée DeBruhl, and my background is I had a certified organic vegetable farm for 10 years and closed the farm in 2018 and recently moved to Battle Creek. So I have been trying to figure out how to keep growing things, but on a really small scale. So I used to grow shoots and sprouts and microgreens on my farm to sell to restaurants, but I don't have that big, gigantic area anymore. So I'm using my windowsills. I'm in a small house in downtown Battle Creek, so I'm using my windowsills and trying to figure out how to maximize that. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go through the instruction sheet, and hopefully you have the instruction sheet, the seeds and the soil, and lined up some containers. And I'm going to go through that sheet, walk you through all the individual steps, and then I'm going to show you some other seeds and some other sprouts and microgreens and shoots that I have grown recently so that you can kind of see some of the things that can be done. And if you have any questions, please feel free to, Chelsea's going to help me out and I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask them during the class. So the first thing we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to be growing sunflower shoots. So hopefully you have your 3 containers. I personally like to use to-go containers. They're really rigid, and the lid works perfect as a base for when the water comes out. So what we want to do is you need to have 3. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the one that's going to go in the middle, and you're going to put holes in it. And you're going to put probably 8 to 10 holes. I usually just take a, sharp knife, and then I just kind of jimmy my way through, put in holes. I like to put in holes in the corners so the water drains out real easy. And like I said, you want, 8 to 10. So I've got 4 in the corner. We'll put some more here. And you could be using egg cartons as well, or any kind of plastic containers that nest together. So hopefully you can see I now have about 8 holes. I know this is a little difficult, but anyways. So I have 8 holes in here. I'm going to put it on the container where I'm going to hold the water. So that's going to be my lid, but it could be another one of these. And then what I'm going to do is work with my soil. So everyone in their kit was given 2 cups of this seed starting mix. I personally like to use an organic mix, but it could be any kind of healthy soil. So you want to make sure it's a healthy soil that doesn't have a lot of chemicals in it, because you're going to be eating these plants in less than, 2 weeks. So you want to make sure what you're eating is healthy too. So we're going to put 2 cups. I use a Rubbermaid, and I do lots of planting, so there's lots of dirt in here already. So I'm going to put 2 cups in here. Doesn't take much soil at all. And then I'm going to add a little bit of water. So I'm just going to use the spray bottle. I'm going to take the top off and just pour. I usually start with maybe about a half a cup or so because you don't want it too wet. So you can see it's starting to clump together a little bit, but it's still too dry. All right. So this is what you're looking for. So it's more clumpy, and the way you can check it is you can actually squeeze it, and you should be able to see some water come out, and that means that it's at a good moisture. You don't want puddles in the bottom, which I don't have. So then I'm going to spread it out in here just roughly, just so I can like divide it in half. And then I'm going to take half of it and put it into my container with the holes. So into this one. And then I'm just going to spread it out evenly so that you have it all the way across the bottom. It's a good excuse to get your hands dirty and play in the dirt when it's during the middle of winter. I think soil is actually healthy for you. So then I have my soil all spread out. Then hopefully you had your seeds soaking for 8 hours. And it's really important that these soak for at least 8 hours because the seed coat, the black hard part on the outside, needs to be soft so it helps them actually germinate. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to drain off the water. And then I'm going to spread these seeds across the soil and make sure I get them all out of the jar. There's a couple in here, or in the where I drained them off. Put those in there. And then I'm going to spread the seeds out across the bottom. Try to make them kind of even. So hopefully you can see that my seeds are all the way across the bottom, evenly spread out. Then I'm going to take my third container, and actually it's going to sit on top. And the reason I put that on top is it helps force the seeds to have a weight to lift up so the necks on the sunflowers, because the sunflower seeds are going to come up like this. So this helps make the stems, the necks of them, a lot stronger. And this holds the moisture in for the next 4 to 5 days. So you don't have to water. Now, the next thing I do, because I like to be able to tell when did I start them in case something goes wrong, I use blue tape for everything. But I just write sunflower and today's date. And then I'll take that off. And then I usually just put it on the end of the tray. And then I'll know when I started, because in about 4 or 5 days, I'm going to need to take this off. As they start to grow and germinate, you're going to start to see this lid actually raise up. And when it gets almost to the top, that's when you want to take that lid off and let them continue to pop out. So I'm done with this. We're going to let it sit. I have a window just right over here. So I'm going to put this one on my windowsill. And partially they don't need light right now, but they do need warmth. And this is where I'm going to let them grow. So you could even have them in the dark for the next 4 or 5 days until you're ready to take the top off. But now I want to show you some of them that I'm growing. So these are the sunflowers that I started on the 3rd. So it's been 13 days. They are ready to eat. The top part, when it opens up, those are called the cotyledons. And that's actually, if you look at a sunflower seed, those are the 2 little halves inside that sunflower seed of the nut that actually open up, and that's the cotyledon. So the cotyledon is what you eat, and you can kind of see how they're going, to the side. So that's what I mean on the instruction sheet when I say it's stretching. So these guys were in my windowsill. They were sitting this way towards the window, and they were growing towards the sun. So I just rotate them a couple times during the day or once a day. So then they stand up and stay straight. And you might not be able to see it, but there's actually roots growing through on the bottom. So these are really delicious when they're this long and when they first pop open. But I have one here that I've been harvesting off of for the last couple weeks. So you can see it's a little scraggly where I've been cutting them off. And these guys have still been growing, and they're starting to put out their first true leaves. So you might be able to see how tall this one is. It's got a second set for its true leaves that are coming out. They still taste good. They're not as great as when you're just eating the cotyledons. But I found out when I started growing these that sunflowers are completely edible from the root all the way to the petals. So I still eat these. And when I harvest them, what I like to do is, we'll take these guys as an example. I usually just use a pair of scissors. Oh, but let's talk about the seed coats. So you might be able to see the black seed coats are still on some of the cotyledons. As they come open and start to grow, if they don't pop off, you can just take them off. And I just leave them in the tray because I'm going to compost all of this later. So when I harvest these, I actually will cut a group. Let's cut a group closer to me. Like that. And then I will just make sure that there's no more seed coats. There's a few in here. And you can eat the seeds too. They're just kind of crunchy. I prefer not to, so I usually take them off. And then I'll put these on a salad. I'll put them on top of a sandwich. They add a nice little extra crunch on top of soup, and they're really delicious. If they're too tall, like these guys are, and you have this super, super long stem, this is still edible, but it's a little obnoxious to eat. So I usually just cut it into smaller sections on top of my salad or my soup and eat it that way. So that's all you need to know for how to grow sunflower shoots. Any questions so far? All right, so let's talk about some of the other things that you can grow. So on the instruction sheet, I also mentioned microgreens and shoots. So one of the experiments I started, as you can see, there's 3 different things in this one. We actually have basil right here. So I'm just going to do microgreens for basils. The nutritional quality of sunflower shoots. I don't know the total nutritional quality of sunflower shoots, but it's a protein if you eat the cotyledons when they first open up, because you're actually eating the nut that is turned green. So they have protein and they have omega-3 fatty acids in them, but I don't know what the actual numbers are, but I know they're really good for you. Did that answer your question? Hopefully, Judy. Besides the basil, I then have some cilantro right in here that I wanted to start. And then this one's watercress, which it's super tiny, but it's really spicy, kind of like horseradish. Now, these are growing okay. The tough one, oh good, thanks Judy. The tough one on these is they take about 21 days to germinate. And they do better when they have direct light. So they're tasty, but if you had a little lamp that you could put on top of them, that would help. And then they take a really, really long time. But they're worth trying. Now I started these little salad greens on Friday, and you can see they're just now starting to germinate. Now on these microgreens, the seeds are itty bitty teeny tiny. Let's open up this packet. It's a different one than I use for those. And of course it won't open. Let's see if I can get closer. So this seed packet actually has radishes, kale, mizuna, turnips, and some other seeds. So they're so small that I don't want to put dirt on top of those. So when you grow microgreens, such as these guys and these guys, you have soil on the bottom, but then you don't put soil on the top because they actually won't come through the soil because they're so tiny. So you can probably see how little some of those seeds are. Now, one of the other things I grew for shoots was pea shoots. And these guys grew like 5 times faster than the sunflowers shoots. I would cut these a lot earlier, but I saved them so that I could show them to you for class. But these as well, I would trim. I would just cut a big chop of them like this. And then I would cut them smaller into a bowl so the stems weren't so long. But then I would add that to my salad or my garnish. And the pea seeds are right here. So you can see these seeds are a lot bigger. And these are the ones that I would cover, just like the sunflowers. Then a new one I grew this year that I had never grown before, and I was super surprised and delighted with them, is popcorn. So these popcorn shoots are so sweet. I had no idea that they could be this sweet. I thought it was just going to taste like corn, but it tastes like sweet corn on steroids. These are super great too. And on these, I found that when they have the bigger leaves compared to, let's get a small one. Compared to something like this. So you have the 2 different sizes. So this one has a little bit of a bitter edge first, but then it goes sweet, whereas this one is just like eating candy. I couldn't believe how sweet it was. And let's see, I have a couple other examples I want to show you. So when we talk about doing shoots, I got this really ingenious jar. You can see it's got holes on the top of it. I got it from High Mowing. It's listed in your instruction sheet. And so you can drain things right through here, drain the water. But I started some mung beans. So you can see they've started to break open and they're starting to put little teeny tiny roots out. The trick with the shoots is you grow these and you keep them wet. So I actually rinse these in the morning and in the evening, and then I keep these in the dark all the time. But once I have them in this jar, all you have to do is put the water in the top, drain it out, and then I actually put it in the in here in the kitchen. Well, actually in the kitchen, and then I cover it with a towel so it stays dark. And then I just, in about 8 days, these would be bean sprouts that you can cook with or eat fresh. You can do this with salad greens. You can do it with onion seeds. There's lots of fun different options for these as well. And then lastly, I read about being able to take green onions. And you can see this green onion looks pretty pitiful. It's kind of dried out, but I actually cut the top off. So here is the what the onion looked like. These I've been growing since March 9th, and I've been able to cut these long, skinny green tops off. This will be the third time. So I got at least 6-7 inches of beautiful green tops off of these that were nice and fat. And I started another bunch. So I cut these guys off right above where the roots were. And you can already see that it's got new shoots coming up. And I cut these on Saturday. So they've already started to grow some new green tops for me. And all you have to do is keep them in a little bit of water. You might be able to see the water is here. And it's not above the top of the onion, but it's got the roots in the water. And I usually rinse the water out each day and then put some fresh water in. But this has been getting me new green onion shoots for using just the exact same stuff that I brought when I bought it from the grocery store. So I'm able to get some more. How do I get an instruction sheet from Jan? Chelsea will be able to share that information. I think that there's access through the library, maybe. Chelsea, is that something you can respond to? Otherwise, go ahead, Chelsea.
I was just typing back, but just for anybody that's curious, if you email infodesk@willardlibrary.org, or if you just stop into the library, curbside or in the building, I will make sure that I get both locations some copies. And so, yeah, if you feel comfortable coming in and you want to grab one that way, or if you just want to email them, we'll have it on the desktop so we can just send you a copy.
Great, because I created it as a PDF, so everybody should be able to open it and print it.
Yes.
Perfect. So does anybody have any other questions? Those were the primary things I wanted to share with you today. It's been really fun to be able to grow all this stuff in my house with no grow lights and no extra heat, just using my heat vents and my windows. And I'm always experimenting with new things. So you can try, all different kinds of herbs. Dill grows really, really quickly. We talked about cilantro. We talked about basil. But pretty much you can try anything that is edible and that's a vegetable, or an herb. So if there's any questions, please let me know. All right. And if you have any ideas for other gardening classes that you would like to have, please share those with Chelsea.
Yes, thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Yeah, it was fun.
I'm so excited to see them sprout in a few days.
Yeah, you should have to see them pop up in probably 4 or 5 days. Start to see those necks popping out of the soil.
Oh, we do have one last question, it looks like.
Oh, have you tried edible flowers? Yes, I have tried tons of edible flowers. So one of my favorites, if you want something spicy, is nasturtium. And nasturtium is a great annual flower that sometimes you see in flower pots because it like overflows the pots. It's a vine, and the leaves, the flowers, and the seeds are all really spicy, like horseradish. So when you eat them, they like clean out your sinuses, and then the spice goes away. So it's not like a pepper. Calendula is also edible. It doesn't have much of a flavor, but it's also used for medicinal purposes. Calendula gel is used like aloe gel for burns. Another one that tastes fantastic is daylilies. It tastes like sweet, fresh, crunchy lettuce. So daylilies are delicious. Not the ones that smell good or the Madonna lilies, but like those orange ones that grow wild. Those are delicious. Oh, she has 3 different types of nasturtium. They're fantastic. They're my all-time favorite. I put them in salads all the time because I like spicy salad mix. Violets are edible. Roses are edible. I'm trying sunflower petals and sunflower seeds. Those are the ones that come to mind immediately, but all of them are really fun. I used to grow a ton of edible flowers for our chefs.
Okay, I'm curious, and maybe this is a silly question, or maybe you said it, I don't know for sure, but the popcorn, is that just like popcorn
Yeah.
that you just buy in the store to pop in the microwave?
I am not sure. Crazy enough, when I went to Purdue, I did popcorn research. And in order for it to pop, it has to be at 13%. So I don't know if popcorn in the bag in the grocery store has enough moisture content to actually germinate as a seed. It'd be worth a try, though.
Yeah.
You know, so if it's just popcorn in a bag, I'd say it's totally worth a try. I just ordered it from the seed companies I have on the instruction sheet, High Mowing, just to try it. But I had no idea it was so sweet. Like, shocker of shockers how sweet it was. Almost like stevia sweet. That sweet.
Wow. Yeah, maybe, well, I'll see how this goes, and then maybe I'll try some popcorn. Fantastic. I'm just going to check YouTube here and make sure we don't have any comments. All right. Well, thank you so much, and I hope that we can do this again soon. And everyone growing pictures, or everyone growing, we would love to see pictures after things start to sprout and see what you guys have been doing at home. I know that I'll post some when mine are starting to sprout up. But we would love to see what you guys have going on at home.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, just pass them. Chelsea will get them to me, and I'll be able to help you out. But I would love to do more of these classes. The whole streaming thing is new to me, but it's totally fun. And we're hoping maybe we can do something outside at the library where we can socially distance and still do some gardening together.
Yes, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I've learned a lot.
All right, thank you.
All right, see you next time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.